Ravi never thought of himself as important. He was just a maintenance worker on Horizon 5, one of the largest human space stations in orbit near the edges of known space. His days were simple. He woke up in his small cabin, put on his gray uniform, and walked to his assigned sections with his toolkit. He fixed pipes, patched up damaged panels, checked air filters, and made sure everything kept running. That was his life. The higher-ranking officers and scientists barely noticed him. They walked past him in their neat uniforms with their shiny badges, talking about missions and discoveries. Ravi kept his head down and stayed out of their way. He didn't need to be noticed. He just needed his pay and a quiet life. But sometimes, when he finished his shift early, he would visit the observation deck. It was his favorite place on the station. The observation deck was huge, with thick glass windows that showed the endless black of space. Ravi loved to stand there and stare out at the stars. They were so far away, like tiny lights in the darkness. He would imagine traveling to distant worlds, meeting alien beings, and having adventures like the ones in the stories people told in the station's bars. But that was all just imagination. He was not a hero, not a soldier, not a captain. He was just a maintenance guy. That morning started like every other. Ravi was assigned to Section D14, one of the lower docking bays. A report had come in about a faulty oxygen regulator. Nothing unusual. He walked down the long corridors with his toolkit, humming to himself quietly. The docking bays were usually busy with workers loading cargo or pilots preparing ships. But this one was strangely quiet. Only a few guards stood near the entrance, their faces tense. Ravi didn't pay much attention to them. He was used to being in places where things happened that were none of his business. Inside the bay, Ravi found the regulator. It was an old model, covered in scratches. He crouched down, opened the panel, and started working. It was routine. He checked the oxygen levels, tightened some loose connections, and replaced a worn-out valve. His hands moved automatically. He had done this hundreds of times. Then he heard it, a sound. It was faint, like a soft scratching or a whimper. He froze and looked around. The bay was empty. He listened carefully. There it was again, coming from behind a large storage container near the wall. Ravi slowly stood up. His heart beat faster. He told himself it was probably just a small animal that had somehow gotten on board. But he knew. Horizon 5 did not allow animals in the docking bays. He walked toward the container, each step careful. When he reached it, he crouched and looked behind. His eyes widened. There, curled up in the shadows, was a small alien girl. Her skin was a strange shade of blue that shimmered slightly under the bay lights. Her hair was white, glowing faintly like moonlight. Her large silver eyes stared at him with fear. She looked young, maybe no older than 12 in human years, but it was hard to tell with alien species. Ravi's first thought was that she must be part of a visiting alien crew. But what was she doing hiding here? "Hey," Ravi said softly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The girl flinched. Her eyes darted around like she was trapped. Before Ravi could say anything else, she suddenly moved in one quick motion. She lunged forward and bit his hand. "Ah!" Ravi cried out, pulling back instinctively. It wasn't like being bitten by a child. It burned. A strange heat spread through his hand and up his arm, making his skin prickle. He stumbled back, staring at her in shock. The girl backed away, still watching him with those glowing silver eyes. She didn't look angry. She looked scared. "What is going on here?" Ravi muttered to himself. He wanted to call security, but his hand throbbed, and something told him this was more complicated than it looked. Before he could decide what to do, loud alarms blared through the bay. Red lights flashed. A voice on the intercom shouted, "Security. Alert! All personnel clear the area. Level 3 breach detected." The girl shrank even more into the shadows. Ravi's head spun. A breach. Was it connected to her? The heavy bay doors slid open, and several armed security officers rushed in. Their weapons were raised, and their faces were serious. One of them pointed at Ravi. "You, step away from the alien." Ravi raised his hands, still holding his toolkit in one. Wait, she's just a kid. The guards didn't lower their weapons. One of them spoke into a communicator. We found her. The air is safe. Repeat. The air is safe. Air. Ravi blinked. What did that mean? Then another figure entered the bay. She was tall, graceful, and carried herself like royalty. Her blue skin was a deeper shade than the girl's, and her silver hair was tied back in a crown-like style. She wore a long, elegant robe decorated with glowing patterns. Her piercing eyes looked directly at Ravi. You, she said in a calm but commanding voice. Human, do you know what you have done? Ravi swallowed. I just found her. She bit me. The woman's expression softened slightly. She walked over to the girl, who immediately ran into her arms. The woman looked back at Ravi. Then it is done. You are now bound to my daughter. Bound? Ravi repeated, confused. What are you talking about? The woman straightened. I am Lady Vela of the Teir Dominion. This is my daughter, Nira. By biting you, she has chosen you as her life-bonded mate. It is our sacred custom. You are no longer just a human worker. You are now part of our house. Ravi blinked. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He thought this had to be some kind of joke, but the burning sensation in his hand told him it was very real. His ordinary life was over. Ravi stood frozen, unable to fully understand what had just happened. The strange burning in his hand still pulsed like a living thing, as if the bite carried more than pain. It felt unnatural, like energy was moving through his veins. He wanted to believe this was a dream, but the sharp stares of the guards and the tall alien woman told him it was very real. Lady Vela continued to hold the alien girl, her daughter Nira. She did not look angry at Ravi. In fact, her expression was calm, almost approving. Ravi felt his heart race. Bound? Life-bonded mate? What kind of madness was this? I think there's been a mistake, Ravi said finally, his voice trembling. I was just fixing the oxygen system. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I don't even know what she did to me. Lady Vela's glowing silver eyes narrowed slightly, but her voice remained steady. There is no mistake, human. The ritual is ancient and cannot be undone. My daughter has chosen you. Ravi stepped back. Chosen me? I'm not part of any ritual. I don't even know your people. One of the guards stepped forward. Watch your tone. Human. You speak to Lady Vela of the Teir Dominion. Ravi lifted his hands defensively. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. I just want to understand what's going on. Lady Vela raised her hand, signaling the guards to step back. You deserve an explanation. The Teir are a proud and ancient people. When one of us bites another being in the manner my daughter did, it creates a bond. It links your life forces. It is more than a choice. It is a declaration. Ravi blinked. A declaration of what? That you are her chosen mate, Lady Vela said simply. The words hit Ravi like a punch. Mate? You mean married? I don't even know her. She's just a kid. Lady Vela's gaze sharpened. She is young, by your standards, but of the proper age by ours. Do not confuse her form with your human measure. The bond does not care for such things. Ravi wanted to argue more, but the heat in his hand flared up again. He winced and grabbed his wrist. Why does it hurt like this? What did she do to me? The bond, Lady Vela explained, is not just symbolic. It joins your energy. If either of you is harmed, the other will feel it. It is a connection of life and death. Ravi's knees felt weak. You're telling me, if something happens to her, I'll feel it? And if something happens to me, she will too, Lady Vela nodded. Exactly. That is why the Teir take such bonds very seriously. You are no longer only human. You are tied to her now. Your fates are joined. Ravi took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. He had gone from being an invisible worker fixing broken parts of a space station to being told he was bound to some alien princess. His life had turned upside down in less than an hour. One of the human station security officers entered the bay, clearly nervous as he saluted Lady Vela. My lady, we are preparing the council chamber for the peace talks. Do you need any assistance? Lady Vela nodded. Ensure the room is secure. There will be no more surprises today. The officer bowed and hurried out, leaving Ravi with the alien guards and Lady Vela. I can't do this, Ravi muttered. I'm not a fighter or a diplomat. I fix pipes. I don't belong in some royal bond. I just want my normal life back. Lady Vela tilted her head, studying him. Do you think fate cares for what you want? You are part of this now, and if you wish to live, you will stay close to my daughter. The words sent a chill through Ravi. Live? Why would his life be in danger? Before he could ask, the alarm stopped, replaced by an announcement over the intercom. All personnel remain in your sections. Security lockdown in effect. Council. Meeting scheduled in 2 hours. The alien guards moved into position, keeping a close watch on the bay entrances. Lady Vale placed a hand on Nira's shoulder. Come, child. You will stay with him. Ravi's eyes widened. Stay with me. Wait, I didn't agree to any of this. Lady Vale's gaze was firm. The bond has been made. She will not leave your side. For your sake and hers, it must be this way. Ravi looked down at Nira. Her silver eyes stared at him with curiosity now instead of fear. She seemed calmer than before, like she trusted him somehow. He couldn't help but feel a strange pull toward her, as if the bond Lady Vale spoke of was real. This is unreal, Ravi whispered. Reality often feels unreal when it changes, Lady Vale said. The guards escorted them through the corridors of the station. People stared as they passed. A simple maintenance worker walking with a royal alien and her guards. Ravi felt the weight of every look. He could already hear the whispers starting. By the time they reached the royal guest quarters, Ravi's head hurt from thinking. The rooms were large and beautiful, filled with glowing crystals and soft alien designs. The guards closed the door behind them, leaving Ravi alone with Nira. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Ravi sat on one of the strange alien chairs, rubbing his hand. The burning had lessened, but it still throbbed like a reminder that his life would never be the same. Nira walked closer and touched his hand gently. He expected to pull back, but strangely, the pain eased when she did. She said something in her language, soft and musical. He couldn't understand, but somehow he felt like she was thanking him. Ravi sighed. I guess we're stuck with each other now. The girl tilted her head, not understanding his words but clearly sensing his tone. For the first time, she smiled. Ravi leaned back in the chair. His mind spun with questions. What did being her mate really mean? Why had she been hiding in that docking bay? And why did he have a bad feeling that this was only the beginning of something far bigger than himself? He didn't know the answers. All he knew was that his life as a simple maintenance worker was gone, and whatever was coming next, he wasn't ready for it. Ravi spent the next hour sitting in the corner of the royal guest room, staring at his bandaged hand. The burning sensation from the bite had faded to a strange warmth, like a small fire resting under his skin. He kept flexing his fingers, hoping it would stop, but it never fully went away. Across the room, Nira sat quietly on a couch, hugging a soft, glowing pillow. She kept glancing at him with her silver eyes. Ravi didn't know what to do. He had worked on Horizon 5 for 3 years and had never been in trouble. Now he was caught up in some alien bonding ritual with a girl he had met less than 2 hours ago. He wanted to believe this would all get sorted out, but Lady Vale's words echoed in his head. Bound, life-bonded mate, fates joined. It sounded permanent. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and two guards entered, their armor glowing faintly. Behind them came Lady Vela, her tall figure graceful as ever. She carried herself like a queen. Even here on a human station, Ravi stood up awkwardly. Human, Lady Vela said, her tone calm but commanding. It is time you understand your position. My position, Ravi repeated nervously. I think there's been some confusion. I'm not. There's no confusion, Lady Vela interrupted. My daughter chose you. By Tear law, you are now recognized as her bonded mate. You will be treated with the respect that comes with that role. Ravi blinked. Respect? Look, I'm just a maintenance worker. I fix broken panels. I don't know how to be a mate to an alien princess. Lady Vela stepped closer, her silver eyes sharp. Do you think the bond cares for your occupation? It does not. The bond recognizes only the will of the one who chooses. My daughter chose you. And the bond accepted. Ravi felt his chest tighten. He wanted to shout that this wasn't fair, that he hadn't agreed to any of this, but something in Lady Vale's voice told him it wouldn't matter. Why me? He asked finally. Out of everyone on this station, why would she choose me? Lady Vale looked at Nira, who had quietly walked over to stand beside her. Because you were there when she needed someone. Because in her fear, she saw you as safe. My daughter has strong instincts. She does not choose lightly. Ravi sighed and sat back down, rubbing his forehead. This is too much. I don't even know what being bonded means for me. Am I supposed to live with her now, be her guard? What happens if I say no? Lady Vale tilted her head. If you refuse the bond, you will suffer. Your body will reject the connection, pain, sickness, and eventually death. The bond is not something you can walk away from. Ravi froze. Death? You're saying I could die if I don't accept this? Yes. Lady Vale said without hesitation. It is better for you to embrace it. Fighting the bond will only harm you both. Ravi stared at the floor. He wanted to believe she was exaggerating, but the warmth in his hand and the strange pull he felt toward Nira told him she was right. There was something real between them, something beyond his understanding. The silence stretched until Ravi finally spoke. Fine, I'll go along with this for now, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You will learn, Lady Vale said. For now, you stay close to Nira. She must not be left unguarded. Whoever tried to take her earlier may try again. That caught Ravi's attention. Take her. You mean someone was trying to kidnap her? Lady Vale's expression hardened. Yes, there are those who wish to destroy the peace talks between the Teir Dominion and your human leader. My daughter is an heir of my house. Taking her would give our enemies great leverage. Ravi felt a chill run through him. So someone on this station tried to kidnap her. That means they're still here. Exactly, Lady Vale said. Which is why you will remain by her side. Your bond makes you uniquely connected to her. You will know if she is in danger. Ravi didn't like the sound of that. He was a maintenance worker, not a bodyguard, but he couldn't deny the strange connection he felt when she had touched his hand earlier. His pain had eased. If she was in danger, would he really feel it? Before he could ask more questions, the guards shifted, and a human officer entered the room. He wore a clean navy blue uniform and carried a datapad. He gave Ravi a puzzled look before addressing Lady Vale. My lady, the council chamber is ready. The peace talks will begin shortly. Good, Lady Vale said. My daughter and her bonded mate will attend with me. Ravi's head shot up. Wait, me? Attend the peace talks? No, I can't do that. Lady Vale's gaze silenced him. You are bonded to my daughter. Where she goes, you go. That is how it will be. Ravi groaned under his breath. He wanted to disappear into his maintenance tunnels and pretend this was all a dream. But instead, he was being dragged into alien politics. The guards escorted them through the station corridors. People stared as they passed. Ravi could hear the murmurs. Is that him? The alien chose him? Why a maintenance worker? Unbelievable. He felt like an animal on display. When they reached the council chamber, Ravi's jaw dropped. The room was enormous, with a round table at its center. Humans in formal uniforms sat on one side, while Teir representatives in flowing robes sat on the other. Glowing banners displayed the symbols of both factions. This was the heart of the peace talks, and somehow Ravi had been thrown into it. As they entered, all eyes turned to him. He felt small under their gaze. Lady Vale raised her voice. Let it be known to all present, my daughter Nira has chosen her bonded mate. By Teir custom, his life is now tied to hers. He will be treated as one of our own. The room erupted in whispers. Ravi wanted to sink into the floor. One of the human council members frowned. This is highly irregular. A maintenance worker. As part of a royal bond, Lady Vale did not flinch. The bond does not care for titles. It is done. Ravi sat beside Nira, his heart pounding. He didn't know what role he was supposed to play here. All he knew was that his life was no longer his own, and as the peace talks began, He couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was coming. Ravi could not sleep that night. He lay awake in the soft alien bed of the guest quarters, staring at the strange glowing designs on the ceiling. His hand still throbbed faintly, not with pain, but with that same strange warmth that had been there since Nira bit him. He kept remembering the blast, the attackers, and the way his body had moved without thinking when danger came. It was like he had known something bad was coming before anyone else. The door to his room slid open quietly. Ravi sat up, startled, but relaxed when he saw Nira step in. She wore a light robe, her silver eyes reflecting the dim lights. She didn't say anything, just walked over and sat at the edge of his bed. "You should be asleep," Ravi said softly. Nira tilted her head. "Sleep," she repeated carefully, her accent thick but clear. She was learning human words faster than he expected. Ravi gave a tired chuckle. "Yeah, sleep. Not that I can do much of that tonight." She reached out and touched his hand. The warmth from the bond flared again, soothing the unease in his chest. It was strange how her touch calmed him. "You feel it too, don't you?" Ravi asked. Nira nodded slowly. "Bond," she said. "Feel." It amazed Ravi how simple the words sounded coming from her. Bond. It didn't just mean connection. It meant shared life, shared feelings, maybe even shared fate. Before Ravi could say anything else, the door opened again, and Lady Vela entered. She looked as composed as always, even in the middle of the night. "You should not be wandering at this hour, child," she said to Nira. Her tone wasn't harsh, but it carried authority. Nira lowered her head slightly but didn't move away. From Ravi, Lady Vela's eyes turned to him. "And you, human, you need training." Ravi blinked. "Training? For what? I fix pipes. I don't fight people with weapons." "You are no longer just a worker," Lady Vela said firmly. "You are my daughter's bonded mate. That means you are now part of her life and her protection. If you cannot defend yourself, you cannot defend her." Ravi swallowed. I don't even know where to start." Lady Vela stepped closer, her voice steady. "You will start tomorrow. My guards will teach you basic combat and how to sense threats through the bond. It is clear you already have the instinct. We will sharpen it." Ravi wanted to protest, but deep down, he knew she was right. If he had frozen back in the council room instead of acting, Nira could have been taken or worse. He couldn't let that happen again. The next morning, Ravi found himself in a private training hall inside the station's Tair quarters. It was unlike any gym he had seen. The walls glowed faintly, and strange symbols were carved into the floor. Two tall Tair guards stood waiting for him. They were both heavily armored, their blue skin covered in faint scars. "Human," one of them said in a deep voice. "You will learn." Ravi stared at the wooden staff they handed him. "You expect me to fight with this? I've never even held a weapon like this before." The guard smirked. "Then you will hold it until it feels like your own hand. For ours, they drilled him at first." Ravi was clumsy. He tripped, missed strikes, and barely managed to keep his balance. The guards barked corrections, forcing him to repeat each move until it felt less like chaos and more like rhythm. He learned how to block, how to strike, and how to use his size to his advantage. By midday, Ravi's muscles burned, sweat dripping down his face. He wanted to collapse, but then Nira appeared, standing at the edge of the room. Her silver eyes watched him intently, and somehow, her presence gave him strength. When one of the guards struck at him suddenly, Ravi didn't think. He reacted. His staff came up at the right moment, blocking the hit. It wasn't perfect, but it worked better, the guard said with approval. "You are learning." Lady Vela entered soon after, watching quietly as Ravi continued his training. "You are improving," she said, "but strength alone will not keep you alive. You must learn to use the bond." Ravi lowered his staff, panting. "The bond? I thought that was just feelings and pain." "It is more," Lady Vela explained. "It is a connection of instincts. If you learn to listen, you will sense danger before it happens. You proved that during the attack. Now we will teach you to control it." The rest of the day was spent on something far stranger than combat. Lady Vela had Ravi sit across from Nira, close enough that their hands almost touched. "Close your eyes," she instructed. "Do not think with your human mind. Feel with the bond, her fear, her calm, her heartbeat. Find it." At first, Ravi felt nothing, just the quiet hum of the room and his own racing thoughts. But slowly, like water seeping into dry soil, something entered his awareness. He could feel Nira, not just her presence, but her emotions, her curiosity, her calmness, even the faint rhythm of her breathing. Ravi's eyes opened in shock. "I can feel her." Lady Vela nodded. "Good. In time, this will keep you alive. And her." For the next few days, Ravi trained nonstop. He practiced with the staff, sparred with guards, and meditated with Nira to strengthen their bond. He still wasn't a fighter, but he was no longer the helpless maintenance worker who had stumbled into a crisis. But the danger wasn't over. One evening, as Ravi and Nira were walking back to their quarters, the burning in his hand suddenly flared, sharper than ever. He froze, his heart pounding. "Something's wrong," he said, grabbing Nira's hand. She stiffened, feeling it too. The corridor ahead was empty, too empty. The lights flickered once, then twice. Ravi didn't know what was coming, but his instincts screamed at him. This wasn't over. The people who wanted Nira weren't finished. And this time, he wouldn't be caught unprepared. Ravi had never felt so out of place in his life. He sat stiffly beside Nira at the council table, surrounded by powerful people from two very different worlds. Human leaders in neat uniforms spoke in sharp, practiced voices, while the Tair representatives spoke slowly, their words translated by small devices that hummed on the table. Lady Vale sat tall and calm, her presence filling the room like she owned it. Ravi tried to make himself invisible, but that was impossible. Every time someone mentioned the bond, eyes flicked toward him. He could feel their judgment. A maintenance worker at a royal meeting, a bonded mate to an alienaire. He didn't belong here. The talk started calmly. Humans spoke about trade routes. The Tair spoke about mutual defense, and both sides discussed the need for peace. But as the meeting went on, the tone shifted. Some humans began questioning the Tair's intentions. A few of the Tairs spoke sharply about human expansion into their territories. The tension in the room rose like a storm waiting to break. Ravi kept his head down. He wanted to disappear. But then, out of nowhere, he felt it, a sharp pulse in his hand. The one Nira had bitten. It wasn't just warmth now. It was a stab. Of pain, sudden and intense. He flinched, gripping his hand. Nira noticed immediately. She looked at him, her silver eyes wide with alarm. She reached for his hand, her small fingers gripping his tightly. The pain lessened as soon as she touched him, but it didn't go away completely. "What was that?" Ravi whispered. She spoke in her language, soft but urgent, pointing to her chest. Ravi didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning. Something wasn't right. Before he could ask more, Lady Vela's sharp voice cut through the room. "Enough. We did not come here to argue. We came to ensure the safety of our people." One of the human leaders, a tall man with a stern face, leaned forward. "And yet, your daughter was found hiding in a docking bay. Care to explain how an heir of the Tair Dominion ended up there without her guards?" Lady Vela's expression stayed calm, but her voice carried an edge. "She was placed in danger because this station failed to protect her. Someone here allowed enemies access to restricted areas." The room erupted in noise. Humans shouted in protest. Tair representatives hissed in their language. And the tension finally snapped. Ravi felt another pulse of pain, this one stronger. He glanced around the room. Something wasn't right. His instincts screamed at him to move, but he didn't know why. Then he saw it. One of the station guards near the door had his hand inside his uniform, fingers twitching like he was about to draw a weapon. Ravi didn't think. He jumped to his feet. "Watch out," he shouted. Everyone turned toward him in confusion. But before they could react, the guard pulled out a small device and hurled it across the room. Ravi grabbed Nira and pulled her under the table just as the device hit the floor and exploded in a flash of light. The blast wasn't big enough to kill, but it sent a shockwave through the chamber. knocking chairs over and disorienting everyone inside. The Tear guards reacted instantly, surrounding Lady Vela and forming a shield around her. Human security scrambled to secure the exits. Ravi's ears rang from the blast, but all he could focus on was keeping Nira safe. She clung to him tightly, trembling but silent, through the chaos. Ravi caught sight of the guard who had thrown the device. He wasn't alone. 2 others were moving toward Lady Vela. With weapons drawn, Ravi's heart pounded. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for this. But if they got to Nira or Lady Vela, it wouldn't just be a political disaster. It would be the end of him too. He spotted a fallen chair and grabbed one of its broken metal legs. It wasn't much, but it was something. As one of the attackers rushed forward, Ravi stepped out from under the table and swung the metal bar with all his strength. It hit the man's arm, knocking his weapon to the ground. The attacker snarled and turned on Ravi, but before he could strike back, one of the Tear guards tackled him to the floor. Stay with the air. The guard barked at Ravi before engaging the second attacker. Ravi stumbled back to Nira. Breathing hard, she grabbed his hand again, and for a moment, the burning pain in his chest eased. It was strange. The connection between them wasn't just emotional. It was physical. He could feel her fear like it was his own. In minutes, the attackers were subdued. Human and Tear guards restrained them, dragging them out of the room. The chaos settled, leaving behind a heavy silence. Lady Vela stood, her calm mask unbroken. As I said, she said coldly, there are traitors on the station, and now we have proof. The human leaders looked shaken. One of them spoke, his voice trembling. We will investigate this immediately. This was not sanctioned by us. Lady Vela didn't respond. She turned her attention to Ravi instead. You saved my daughter. Ravi blinked. I just acted. I didn't want her to get hurt. You did more than act, Lady Vela said. The bomb warned you of danger before any of us saw it. That is why the Tear values such connections. You are more than a simple worker now. You are part of this house. Ravi didn't know how to respond. He wasn't used to being praised, especially by someone like her. He glanced at Nira, who still held his hand. Her breathing had steadied, but she hadn't let go. Lady Vela's voice softened slightly. You are bound to her. That means you share her burdens and her dangers. If you are to survive this, you must accept what you are. Ravi swallowed hard. He didn't know what he was anymore. All he knew was that this wasn't just about him fixing broken pipes anymore. He was in the middle of something far bigger, and it was only getting more dangerous. As the guards escorted them out of the chamber, Ravi couldn't stop replaying what happened. The pain, the warning, the way he had moved without thinking. The bomb wasn't just a link. It was changing him. And if Lady Vela was right, this was only the beginning. Ravi gripped Nira's hand tightly as the lights in the corridor flickered again. His heart pounded in his chest, and the strange burning in his hand grew stronger. This wasn't just fear. This was the bond warning him. He didn't know how. He knew that, but he was certain. Stay close to me, he whispered. Nira nodded silently, her silver eyes scanning the dim hallway. Even though she was young, she didn't seem afraid. Or maybe she was hiding it well. They were returning to their quarters after another long training session. But now Ravi felt like they had walked into a trap. He glanced behind them. No guards. Lady Vela had sent them ahead while she discussed security measures with the council. He wished she was here now. The hallway stretched ahead, quiet and empty. Too quiet. Ravi's instinct screamed at him. Something was wrong. Then he heard it, a faint metallic clink. He froze. Did you hear that? He asked softly. Nira tilted her head, listening. She nodded slowly. Ravi tightened his grip on the staff he now carried everywhere. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. They kept walking, but Ravi's steps were slow and careful. Every sound echoed too loudly in his ears. Then it happened. A panel in the wall ahead burst open, and two masked figures lunged out. They wore dark suits, their faces covered, moving with quick, trained precision. One aimed a weapon at Ravi. Ravi didn't think. He shoved Nira behind him and raised his staff just as the first attacker swung. The staff vibrated from the impact, but Ravi held firm. The second masked figure rushed toward Nira, but before they could grab her, Ravi twisted his body and slammed the staff into their side. The blow made them stumble back. "Run!" Ravi shouted to Nira, but she didn't move. She clung to his sleeve instead, refusing to leave him. The first attacker came at him again. Ravi blocked another strike, his arms shaking from the force. He wasn't as strong or skilled as these people, but he had one advantage. He felt them coming before they moved. It was like their intentions brushed against his mind a moment before they acted. He ducked just in time as the attacker swung at his head. His heart pounded, but his body moved with strange clarity. One of the masked figures hissed something in a language he didn't know. Then they stepped back, pulling out a strange, glowing device. Ravi didn't know what it was, but every part of his body screamed danger. He lunged forward and swung the staff with all his strength, knocking the device from their hand. It skidded across the floor and fizzled out with a spark. The other attacker tried to grab Nira, but Ravi felt the pull of the bond, her fear crashing into him like a wave. He turned, swinging the staff low and hitting their legs hard enough to make them fall. "Stay down," he shouted, his voice shaking but loud. The attackers didn't stay down. They scrambled to their feet and back toward the open panel. One of them pointed at Ravi, then at Nira, before speaking into a communicator. Their words were quick and sharp. Then they were gone, vanishing into the ventilation shaft before Ravi could stop them. Ravi's breathing was ragged. His arms ached from the fight, but he didn't let go of the staff until he was sure they were gone. Nira stepped forward, her hand touching his. The warmth of the bond calmed his shaking. "You okay?" Ravi asked her. She nodded, though her wide eyes told him she was still shaken. Before Ravi could say more, heavy footsteps echoed down the hall. Lady Vela appeared with a squad of guards, her expression sharper than a blade. "What happened?" she demanded. "They came out of the walls," Ravi said, pointing to the open panel. "Two of them. They tried to take her." The guards rushed to search the ventilation shaft, but the attackers were already gone. Lady Vela knelt before Nira, checking her carefully. "You are unharmed?" Nira nodded. Lady Vela stood, her eyes narrowing as she looked at Ravi. "You fought them?" Ravi swallowed and nodded. "I didn't have a choice." She studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod. "Good, you kept her safe. That is what matters." Ravi let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Who were they? They weren't just random criminals. They moved like soldiers. Lady Vela's face darkened. They are no ordinary criminals. They are part of a faction that wishes for these peace talks to fail. They want my daughter because she represents unity between our people. If they control her, they control the future. Ravi's stomach turned. So this whole thing, it's bigger than just a kidnapping. "Yes," Lady Vela said. "This is a war fought in shadows." The guards secured the area and escorted them back to their quarters. Lady Vela dismissed everyone except Ravi. "You feel it now, don't you?" she asked quietly. Ravi hesitated. "Feel what?" "The bond," she said. "It warns you, guides you. That is why you survived. You are learning to listen to it." Ravi didn't argue. He couldn't. It was true. He had felt the attackers before they struck. It was like a voice in the back of his mind telling him when to move. "What happens now?" Ravi asked. Lady Vale's gaze was cold and steady. "Now, we hunt them. They are hiding on this station, and they will strike again. But we will be ready." Ravi shifted uncomfortably. I'm not a soldier." Lady Vale placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are more than you think. The bond chose you. That means you are part of this fight whether you wish it or not." Ravi didn't know what scared him more, the thought of another attack or the feeling that Lady Vela might actually be right. That night, Ravi sat awake again, staring at his hand. The warmth of the bond pulsed steadily, like a heartbeat. He thought about the attackers, about their precision, about the way they pointed at him before fleeing. They weren't just after Nira. They knew about him to die, and that meant the next time they came, they wouldn't just be trying to take her. They'd be ready for him as well. Ravi woke up to the sound of alarms. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside his quarters. and the intercom blared with a warning message, security breach in Sector 4. All non-essential personnel evacuate immediately. He jumped out of bed, his heart pounding. This was it, the attackers were back. Nira was already awake, standing near the door with wide eyes. She didn't look frightened, but Ravi could feel her fear through the bond, sharp and heavy in his chest. He grabbed his staff from the wall and took her hand. "Stay close to me," he said firmly. The door slid open, and one of Lady Vale's guards entered. His armor dented and his breathing heavy. "They are here," the guard said. "They have cut power to several sectors. They are coming for her again." "Where's Lady Vale?" Ravi asked. "She is securing the council chamber. We must move the air now." Ravi followed the guard into the corridor, keeping Nira close. The hallway was filled with flashing red lights and the distant sounds of shouting. Smoke drifted from a damaged panel, and sparks fell from the ceiling. It felt like the whole station was under siege. They turned a corner, and that was when Ravi felt it, a sharp, burning pulse in his hand, stronger than ever before. "Stop," he whispered. The guard glanced back. "What are you?" Before the guard could finish, a masked figure dropped from a ceiling vent and slammed into him. The guard fell with a grunt, his weapon skidding across the floor. More masked figures emerged from the shadows, blocking both ends of the hallway. Ravi pushed Nira behind him and tightened his grip on the staff. "Run!" he shouted to her, but she didn't move. She stayed at his back, clutching his sleeve. The attackers advanced, moving with deadly precision. Ravi's breathing quickened. He wasn't ready for this. He wasn't a soldier. But then he felt Nira's hand on his arm, and through the bond came something unexpected. Not just fear, but trust. She believed in him. He couldn't let her down. The first attacker lunged at him with a short blade. Ravi twisted his body, the movement coming almost instinctively, and blocked the strike with his staff. The impact jolted his arms, but he didn't falter. He pushed forward, striking the attacker's side with enough force to knock them back. Another came from the left. Ravi ducked under their swing and slammed his staff upward, hitting their chin. The move wasn't elegant, but it worked. The burning in his hand guided him. He didn't think about what to do. He just felt it every time an attacker moved. He sensed it through the bond, like a whisper in his mind. But there were too many of them. One of the masked figures broke past him, reaching for Nira. Ravi spun, swinging his staff with all his strength. The hit landed with a crack, sending the attacker sprawling. "Stay behind me," Ravi shouted. Nira obeyed, but she didn't cower. She kept her eyes on the fight, her small hands clenched into fists. More attackers poured in. Ravi's arms ached, his legs felt heavy, but he refused to stop. Every time he thought he couldn't block another strike, he felt Nira's presence through the bond, a spark of strength that pushed him forward. Then, suddenly, a voice cut through the chaos. "Enough." Everyone froze. A tall figure stepped forward from the shadows, wearing dark armor with glowing red lines. His mask was different from the others, more ornate. He moved with the confidence of someone in command. "You fight well for a human," the masked leader said in a cold, distorted voice. "But this is pointless. Give us the girl, and you may live." Ravi tightened his grip on the staff. "You're not taking her." The leader tilted his head. "You do not even understand what she is. She is more than an heir. She is a key. With her, we can end this false peace." Ravi's jaw clenched. "Then you'll have to go through me." The leader chuckled. "Brave words for someone who will be dead in moments." He moved faster than Ravi expected, swinging a glowing blade toward him. Ravi barely blocked in time, the force sending him stumbling back. The leader pressed forward with precise, brutal strikes, and Ravi struggled to keep up. Every impact rattled his bones. His arms felt like they would break, but he refused to back down. Then he felt it, Nira's hand on his back, the bond surging, like fire through his veins. It wasn't just strength, it was clarity. He saw the leader's next move before it happened, when the leader swung for his chest. Ravi stepped aside and countered, slamming the staff into his side. The blow wasn't enough to defeat him, but it made him stagger. "You are not ordinary," the leader said, his voice colder now. No matter. You will still die. He charged again. But before the strike landed, a new voice thundered through the hallway. Stand down. Lady Vela appeared with a squad of heavily armed guards. Her presence filled the corridor like a wave of power. The leader hesitated, then pointed at Ravi. This is not over. He threw a small device on the floor. Smoke erupted, filling the hallway. When it cleared, he and his soldiers were gone. Ravi collapsed against the wall, gasping for air. His arms trembled, and his whole body ached. But Nira was safe. That was all that mattered. Lady Vela approached, her silver eyes sharp. You fought them alone. Ravi nodded weakly. I didn't have a choice. You did more than fight. Lady Vela said, you stood your ground against one of their leaders. That is no small feat. Ravi didn't feel like a hero. He felt like someone who had barely survived. But when he looked at Nira, who was still holding his hand tightly, he knew he had done the right thing. Lady Vela's tone softened. You have embraced the bond. You are no longer just a worker. You are her shield, and you will remain so. Ravi didn't know what the future held. But as he stood there, with Nira by his side and Lady Vela watching him with something almost like respect, he realized something important. He wasn't just a maintenance worker anymore. He was part of something bigger. And for the first time since this all began, he wasn't afraid.